Well, good afternoon and hello everybody out there in webinar land. Welcome to another of Grand European Travel's fun webinar events. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about some very special trips that we offer over the holiday season, and those are our European Holiday Markets River Cruises. Once again, I am your host. My name is Jake Messimer with Grand European, and I'm also joined by Caitlin Junkin. Hello, Caitlin.
Hello.
All right, and we're coming to you from beautiful Portland, Oregon, where there's always a snow-capped mountain in the background, reminding us of the holidays that even though we're just entering summer, in many ways seems like they're just around the corner. So this is a good opportunity to learn more about our holiday markets river cruises and more about Grand European as a whole. So Grand European, if you've been to one of our webinars before, you know that we're part of the Travel Corporation family of brands. And what that lets us do is pick some of the very, very best trips that are offered by some of our sister companies and offer them direct to you, the public. We do that with our partner company, Uniworld Boutique River Cruises. So today, we're going to talk about a few things. One, what are European Christmas markets and why would you want to go spend some time there? We'll talk about the Uniworld experience, go through a few of our popular holiday markets river cruise itineraries. We will mention a few special savings as well, so stay tuned for that. We'll do a prize drawing, so please stay tuned for that. We will draw a random name towards the end of the presentation, and that person will win a $200 credit towards your choice of Grand European Holiday Markets River Cruise this holiday season. And at the end, we'll have some time for questions and answers. And incidentally, if you do have any questions during the presentation, you can use the question box in your webinar tool on the side of your screen, and our colleague Liz is standing by to answer those questions for you. And we'll choose a few questions to answer live at the end of the presentation. All right, so let's just jump in, shall we? Let's start by talking about what are Christmas markets anyway? Well, the history of Europe's Christmas markets can be traced all the way back to the late Middle Ages. The earliest mention of a Christmas market in historical documents was Munich's in Germany, which began in the year 1310, so many, many centuries ago. The tradition spread primarily through Germany and Austria, and also became popular in parts of Switzerland, Italy, and France. Today there are dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of markets throughout Europe. One of the largest is in the German city of Cologne, which records 4 million visitors every Christmas season. The city of Berlin alone has more than 70 different markets. And the markets usually run from the end of November until just a few days after Christmas. And some of the largest ones will run all the way past New Year's Eve. So it's about a month running time that you have a chance to go experience these markets. So why do people flock to these markets? Well, in addition to the traditional decorations, handicrafts, you'll find dozens of stalls with traditional food and drink like gingerbread, Stollen, which is a kind of fruitcake, bratwurst, pretzels, and most popular the tasty Glühwein, which is a hot mix of wine, brandy, and spices that comes in these little commemorative cups. So we invite you to explore these fun markets from the warmth and comfort of one of our boutique river cruises. And as I said, our cruises are operated in conjunction with our sister company, Uniworld. I want to just mention a couple of the outstanding features that you'll enjoy traveling with Uniworld. First off, Uniworld is the finest river cruise company afloat. It aims to be a 6-star experience from beginning to end. You will find the most luxurious accommodations and ship amenities available on the market. Award-winning dining with a fully included beverage program, and that means all drinks including beer, wine, and cocktails throughout the trip. Lots of included sightseeing, much more than the average, with the very, very best local guides in each sightseeing stop. And truly world-class service from the friendly staff. Uniworld has the highest staff-to-guest ratio of any river cruise line. And finally, all gratuities are included, and that's a huge, huge factor. All gratuities are included, and that's not just on the ship, that's off the ship as well. I mentioned the award-winning dining a minute ago, and I just wanted to mention this. Uniworld is becoming more and more recognized for its truly outstanding dining program. This is overseen by B. Tolman. It's the lady you see in the picture here. She's actually the founder of the travel corporation's wife, and she kind of overlooks the design of the ships on Uniworld and also the dining program. She's a chef. It is distinguished by our commitment to fresh, local, in-season ingredients. Our chefs and their teams will scour the local farmers markets in the early morning each day to source the freshest, most authentic ingredients for your meals. So the food is delicious, yes, but it also reflects the typical cuisine of the regions you'll sail through. And I think that really adds a lot to the experience on a river cruise. So the ships that operate the cruise, Uniworld has a fleet of award-winning ships, a dozen or so operating in Europe. Some of the ones you'll see here, not necessarily ones that operate our holiday markets cruises, but I show this to make the point that they're all completely unique. Their design is different from each other. They all look different, have different amenities. So I can't really go into what every single ship includes, but I can use a personal example. For I went on our RHINE holiday markets cruise a few months ago, and that was operated by this ship, the SS ANTOINETTE. So let's use this as a typical example of what you'll find on a Uniworld River Cruise ship. The ANTOINETTE was inaugurated in 2011 and carries a maximum of 154 guests served by 57 dedicated staff. Again, the highest staff-to-guest ratio in the industry. So the ANTOINETTE has quite a few outstanding features, some of which are not commonly found on river cruise vessels. A beautiful heated indoor pool. You can see in the photograph that you can open up the back wall to really bring the outside in when the weather's nice. The only 3D cinema on any river cruise ship, and there's a full program every day of films being shown in the theater. An inviting lounge for light dining, cocktail hour, and late night entertainment. Lots of things go on in the lounge here. The Leopard Bar. Most of the ships have a Leopard Bar. This is a comfortable, warm, and convivial spot to have a drink and maybe meet some other passengers. The theme reflects our owner's family history coming from South Africa. A gorgeous restaurant with open seating dining. So you'll have included buffet breakfast every single day, included lunch every single day. And each of these is a buffet, but also has a special daily menu. So there will be a chef's special on offer. For instance, for breakfast, you might have salmon, eggs Benedict. And for lunch, I remember on my cruise one day, it was German day. So they had sausages and sauerkraut and you know, typical fare from the area. Dinner each night is also included, and that's with a choice of several starters, soups, mains, and desserts. And let's not forget the fully included beverage program. So that's beer, wine, cocktails, soft drinks all day at any time, not just at meal times. And as I mentioned already, the fabulous dining is really a highlight for people on Uniworld. In between, if you're hungry, you can have light meals in the lounge. There's an afternoon tea. There's even a late breakfast if you slept in a little too long. So believe me, no one goes hungry on these cruises. Every ship does also have very comfortable outdoor spaces. Now let's be honest, on Christmas markets, the weather might be challenging on occasion, but when possible, alfresco dining is made available, and of course the sun deck is equipped with warm blankets, hot water bottles, and hot drink service. So on a sunny day, even though it's chilly, you can certainly be comfortable up on deck seeing the sights as you sail by. Staterooms. Uniworld absolutely has the most well-appointed staterooms on any river cruise ships. We'll go through a few of the different cabin types here. So the lowest priced staterooms are in categories 4 and 5. These staterooms are very spacious, about 165 square feet. That's above industry standard. And they're very well appointed. They feature windows up along the ship's waterline, as you see illustrated in the photograph here. If you upgrade to categories 3 or 2, you'll enjoy a French balcony. This is a floor-to-ceiling window, like you can see in the photo, that at the touch of a button drops down halfway and brings the outside right into your stateroom. These are also a little larger, about 196 square feet, so again, well above industry standard. And on this, even though I was there, in December and it was a little chilly, the room was so warm I could leave the window open and get the fresh breeze off the river, even on chilly nights. It was very, very nice. Category 1 staterooms feature a full balcony. They're pretty much the same size as categories 2 and 3, but you do have a full balcony you can step out onto. You can see the sliding glass door on the left side of the photograph here. It's a private outdoor space, perfect for relaxing with a drink, or even you can take a meal out there. Every ship also offers spacious suites. These are all different from ship to ship, but they're again very luxuriously appointed, very large and comfortable, and they come complete with 24-hour butler service. And no matter which type of stateroom you choose, the bathrooms are very spacious, well-appointed, marble countertops, heated marble floors, large shower, very, very comfortable. The bathrooms, I thought, were very impressive on these ships. So let's jump right into a typical example of one of our river cruises, the RHINE holiday markets. This is near and dear to my heart, as this is the trip I took with my mother, father, and brother just a few months ago, over last Christmas. So we arrived in Basel. This particular cruise started in Basel. You can also start in Cologne and head south if you like. We arrived in Basel in time to enjoy our first dinner on the ship. It was a very nice, warm welcome. And the next morning, after our first night in our staterooms, we awoke to find that we were docked right in the heart of Basel. We were a few minutes walk from the center of the city. It's actually Switzerland's third largest city, but it's as charming as you imagine any Swiss city to be. Very, very beautiful architecture, nice people. And we did a walking tour to all the attractions of the old town with plenty of time to explore our first Christmas market. Now this was very, very nice to see. There was all the decorations, there was the smells of all the food. It was delicious. My brother and I stopped at a stall for some raclette, which if you've never had that, it's a traditional Swiss snack similar to fondue. They melt cheese on crusty bread and then they serve it with onions and sweet pickles. It's absolutely delicious. Incidentally, that's one of the only times on this whole trip that I ate anything off of the ship. The meals on board were so delicious that I couldn't help myself just staying aboard at mealtimes. So after Basel, we set off overnight to our next stop, which was Strasbourg in France. Strasbourg is an interesting city. It's bounced back and forth between Germany and France a number of times and has this very international vibe because it's the headquarters of the European Parliament. The bridges along the river here are too low for our ship, so we transfer to glass-topped canal boats, and we do a great sightseeing from the water with a local guide who grew up in Strasbourg. Then we had free time to explore the city center, which was the very first whole city center designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I can definitely recommend a visit to the cathedral, which held the record for world's tallest building for 227 years. I thought that was pretty impressive. The next day, we head back into Germany for a really fascinating visit to Heidelberg. What a fun town. This is one of the most lively small cities in Germany due to its large student population. It's renowned for its sightseeing highlights like its hilltop castle guarding the charming riverside old town below. For my family, especially for my dad, this was a highlight. He was stationed in Germany in the army, and Heidelberg was where he and his buddies would come to have a good time on their days off, so he really enjoyed seeing that. That night actually was Christmas Eve, and there was a nice little party put on the ship. And the next morning we woke up, and what a beautiful Christmas morning it was. It was sunny and warm. So after breakfast, very, very delicious, we attended a lecture on European holiday traditions. There's some interesting ones from different countries. I had never heard of a lot of these traditions. But it was such a nice day, my dad said, hey, let's take the bikes out. Every ship has bikes you can take out for free. And so we hopped on the bikes and rode around the town of Mainz, and we went through the old town, came up to the cathedral just as Christmas Mass was ending. The bells were ringing. It was a very festive atmosphere, and certainly a Christmas morning I will never forget. That evening, we reached the almost impossibly charming village of Rüdesheim. This area is known for its Riesling grapes, a very well-known wine varietal, and the hillsides surrounding the town are covered with old vineyards, just perfect for strolling. Rüdesheim is also well known for one of the most unique museums in all of Europe, Siegfried's Mechanical Music Museum, where you see demonstrations of absolutely incredible self-playing instruments. This is just one picture. There were about 20 more impressive musical instruments there. This was the best picture I got, so that's what I had to put in the presentation. After the museum visit, there's time to enjoy the sunset with a stroll through the vineyards before returning to the ship for dinner and your evening entertainment. The next day is, for many, quite possibly the highlight of the whole trip, a journey down the incredibly scenic Rhine Gorge. This is a 65-kilometer section of the river known for its steep hillsides, terraced vineyards, and more than 24 unique historic castles. It was a beautiful, clear day, and so despite the cold, many of us went up on deck to enjoy the views, and we were kept warm with the blankets and the hot drinks. It was very comfortable. Here's just a few photos I took during the 4-hour trip down this scenic gorge. Absolutely stunning. There's running commentary from your cruise director as you go, telling you the history of each castle and village you pass by. Lovely, lovely riverside scenery. Just a huge highlight of the whole trip. And a couple nights later, we come to our final night stay, and that's in the largest city we visit on this itinerary, Cologne, Germany. As you can see in the photo, this is the only truly winter weather we found on our trip. We woke up to snow flurries floating around the famous cathedral towers. And once again, our excellent local guide showed us the sights of the central city. We did an interior visit of the cathedral. We warmed up on our ship at lunch and found that the weather had cleared by the late afternoon, so that evening my brother and I went out to visit the last Christmas market of the trip. As I mentioned earlier, Cologne is home to one of the most visited Christmas markets in the world, and I can tell you from personal experience, it might be the most charming. It was chock full of German families enjoying the last days of the Christmas season. There was ice skating, curling, delicious food, glue wine, of course, hot cocoa for the kids. There was so much warmth and joy here, I didn't want to leave. So that was my first experience with real European Christmas markets. They certainly know how to experience the holidays over there, and the Rhine holiday markets is a great way to be introduced. Now, as I said, holiday markets are a tradition that's spread all over Europe and the world, and another place that has a holiday market tradition is France. So Caitlin, if you wouldn't mind telling us about another trip, our Parisian holiday.
Great, thanks Jake. So we're going to look at the Parisian holiday now. It's a 9-day cruise. For this trip you'll arrive at Charles de Gaulle, where a complimentary transfer service will pick you up and take you to your ship. You'll explore the picturesque Les Andelys with a nature walk along the Grand Rhin Canal, making your way up to the ruins of the impressive Chateau Gaillard, which was commissioned under Richard the Lionheart in the 12th century. In the evening, you'll sail to the town of Rouen, where you'll enjoy a captain's welcome reception and gala dinner aboard your ship. Then the next day, you'll get to explore the medieval center and discover why Rouen is known as one of the best preserved cities in France. Then you'll peruse its famous markets with a hot cup of mulled cider in hand. And on day 5 of your vacation, you'll experience an in-depth tour of the Palace of Versailles, the official residence of France's kings and queens from 1682 until the Revolution. Here, an expert guide will show you the world-famous Hall of Mirrors, the Queen's bedchambers, and even an exclusive peek behind the palace's secret doors. So if you've never been to Versailles, this will definitely be a highlight of your trip. I spent a full day exploring the palace and its grounds on a trip to France with my mom and my sister, and I have to say that it stands out as one of the most memorable days of our vacation. And if you're lucky enough to see the palace with a dusting of snow, well, you're in for a special treat. The final 3 days of your vacation are spent in Paris. Now, every town in France boasts a marché de Noël. It's a Christmas market, usually one per village, but Paris boasts many throughout the city. Some highlights of your time here will surely be a tour of the city's Christmas markets, shopping centers, a visit to the Paris Opera, and a special winter tour of the Orsay Museum. But on your first of 3 days in Paris, you'll explore the Ile de la Cité, the island right in the center of Paris that is home to Notre Dame's Cathedral, one of the finest examples of French Gothic architecture. You'll then cross the Seine to the Latin Quarter, where you can sample some seasonal treats at local gourmet shops, and then climb aboard a boat for some spectacular views of the heart of Paris. Then you'll wrap up the day with a visit to some of the city's wonderful Christmas markets located just near the Eiffel Tower. The next day in Paris is also filled with unforgettable sightseeing, as you'll head to the left bank for a tour of the extraordinary Orsay Museum. The Orsay, which was developed in the remains of an old railway station, houses the largest collection of Impressionist and Post-Impressionist masterpieces in the world. Here, an expert guide will take you through the museum's winter landscape paintings. really is a fun afternoon. And after your visit, you're free to explore the city before catching a private shuttle from the Christmas markets back to your ship. Then in the evening, you'll toast to your Parisian adventures at a captain's farewell reception and gala dinner on your ship, but you still have a bit more time in Paris. So on your final day, you'll visit the famous Paris Opera, followed by two of the city's most celebrated department stores, which are always decorated to the nines for the holidays. You can see one of them pictured here. This is the popular Galerie Lafayette. The department store was actually inaugurated in 1893, and it's somewhat reminiscent of a Middle Eastern bazaar with different sorts of shops inside. I actually took this photo just before Christmas in 2011 when I was visiting friends in Paris. We spent a good several hours exploring Lafayette's melange of fashion, accessories, their home furnishings, and upscale food markets. It really was a great day. So I can't say enough good things about visiting Paris during the holidays. It is absolutely magical and something that you really have to experience at least once in your life. And we also have a couple special offers for this vacation. One of them is a 2-for-1 special. So if you select the December 19th departure, 2 people sail for the price of 1. And we also have solo-friendly departures on the dates you see listed here. So there is no single supplement for these departures. I would encourage you to contact one of our travel experts to find out more, and we will get to that in just a little bit. Next up, we're going to talk about our classic Christmas markets river cruise. So if the last cruise talks about the best of France, here we are focusing just on Germany. You'll sail along the Main River through Christmas country and explore its markets that date back 500 years. Along the way, you'll sample some of those delicious holiday specialties. Jake mentioned just a few of them. There's Frankfurt's famous apple cider, Bamberg's specially brewed holiday beer, and Nuremburg's gingerbread. Throughout the trip, you'll cozy up with steaming mugs of Glühwein. It's that warm, spiced wine we mentioned. And do as the locals do by collecting different mugs from each town along the way that you visit. So you'll embrace the holiday spirit of Germany. It's a land where many of our Christmas traditions began. But upon your arrival in Nuremberg, you'll be picked up and transferred to your ship. Nuremberg was actually the preferred residence of emperors during the Middle Ages. Here, you'll enjoy a guided excursion with visits to Kaiserberg, a castle rising high above the city that housed every emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. You'll continue along the city's cobblestone streets until you reach Market Square and its beautiful fountain, which is actually one of the most famous examples of 14th century German ironwork. And you'll finish the day shopping for one-of-a-kind gifts at the festive Christkindlesmarkt, the largest and oldest Christmas market in Germany. There's no better way to experience the market's 200-plus wooden stalls than with a cup of sweet and spicy Glühwein in one hand and maybe an authentic Nuremberg gingerbread or a bratwurst in the other. Then, of course, the festivities continue into the evening with a captain's welcome reception and a gala dinner back at your ship. From Nuremberg, you'll sail to the town of Bamberg for a visit, and then arrive in the town of Kitzingen. From here, you'll travel along what is known as the Romantic Road to Germany's best preserved wall city, Rothenburg. And this town is like something out of a fairy tale. It has medieval stone walls, half-timbered houses, topped with red tile roofs, and you'll get to visit another one of Germany's oldest and most celebrated markets, Reitler's Market. And when you're here, you must be sure to sample the local specialty called a Schneeball, or a snowball, which is basically a holiday pastry made from strips of sweet dough that are fried and covered in powdered sugar or chocolate. It's one of Jake's favorites.
Make sure to share it with a friend. One person should not eat an entire Schneeball.
On day 6, you'll visit the town of Würzburg, which is home to the opulent Würzburg residence, another extraordinary palace, this time Baroque, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Later that day, you'll explore the town's 200-year-old Christmas market before visiting a local German family in a nearby village for a sampling of some homemade seasonal treats. It's a lot of fun. In the town of Wertheim, you'll join a local guide for a walk through the town with wonderful views of the Main River and Bavaria on the opposite bank. You'll also visit another local market that specializes in artisan glass and Franconian wines. Then in the afternoon, you'll head to a private wine estate where you'll be treated to some mulled wine and a baking demonstration of Stollen. That's that traditional German fruitcake that Jake mentioned. On the last day of your journey, you'll experience the energy and sophistication of Frankfurt with a local guide. Here you'll roam the city's historic center and then head to its landmark skyscraper, the Main Tower, taking an elevator to the top floor for magnificent views of this European hub. After a few more hours with your guide, you'll have some free time to continue exploring on your own before retiring to your ship for a special captain's farewell dinner. I'm going to talk about one more. We're looking now at Grand Christmas and New Year's Eve. This is a 14-day cruise. So if you're looking to travel for a few weeks and want to experience Christmas traditions throughout Europe, you will love this vacation. Getting away during the holidays really is becoming a very popular choice, whether you're looking to escape the planning back home or perhaps bring the entire family out for a celebration aboard a luxury ship. So on this trip, you'll also visit Nuremberg and its Christmas markets. You'll then spend a leisurely day on ship as you cruise along the remarkable 106-mile-long Main to Danube Canal to the Danube River, where your first port of call is the friendly town of Regensburg. Is that correct?
Yes.
If you wish to attend Christmas Mass, you can do so in one of the town's lovely churches before exploring a bit more with a local expert. Starting at the Gothic Town Hall, you'll cross the 12th century stone bridge through Old Town, or if you choose, you can visit several sites associated with one of the oldest Jewish communities in southern Germany, which dates back to the Middle Ages. And when you return to your ship, you'll be greeted with a warm and festive Christmas meal. As Jake mentioned, the food really is fantastic, complete with all the traditional holiday trimmings. So what a special way to spend the holiday, exploring Europe's ancient monuments and then returning to your luxury floating boutique hotel for a decadent feast. I think it beats spending all day in the kitchen, if you ask me. Now here we are in Passau, but I should mention that you do stop at another town on your way here called Deggendorf, where you get to cuddle beneath warm blankets as a horse-drawn wagon takes you through a charming village of the Bavarian forest. Doesn't that sound like fun? And as you make your way toward Vienna, you'll visit a few more towns. After docking in Linz, you'll head to nearby Salzburg, where you'll get to witness the famous 17th century cathedral, the house where Mozart was born, and even Mirabell Garten, where scenes from The Sound of Music were filmed. We've now arrived in Vienna, and here you'll encounter the highlights of the town's Habsburg heritage, including Prince Eugene's magnificent Winter Palace, a stunning example of Baroque architecture. In the afternoon here, you'll immerse yourself in Viennese tradition by learning the waltz on an excursion to a local palace. Or you could choose to stroll through Old Town on a Taste of Christmas tour. This evening, you'll enjoy the music of Mozart and Strauss in a private Viennese palace. Then, on your second day in Vienna, you'll visit the stunning Schönbrunn Palace, a Habsburg summer residence that really rivals Versailles with ornate architecture, extravagant gardens, and its lavish interiors. Then, before you know it, it's time to celebrate the new year. And what better place than a glorious Viennese palace to ring in the festivities with a wonderful dinner accompanied by the melodies of a private concert. If you're in a dancing mood, you can join in the festivities with the famous Strauss waltz that you learned the day before. Now, I have to say this cruise is luxurious to say the least, but this day in particular feels like something out of a royal Habsburg fairy tale. As your journey comes to an end, you'll sail along the enchanting Danube to Budapest. Here you'll have a panoramic city tour where you'll witness several highlights of Budapest, including the famous 19th century chain bridge, St. Stephen's Cathedral, and the UNESCO-designated Castle Hill district. Then you'll also have a captain's farewell reception and gala dinner on your ship. So this vacation is very extravagant if you had not noticed.
And, no, I think I did notice. It sounds like a lot of gala dinners on this trip, but a magnificent way to spend both Christmas and New Year's. And I think something that you may have mentioned that I didn't, that this is becoming a popular way to spend family Christmas. Like I went with my family, and on the cruise that I was on, there was a surprising number of other folks just like us who had brought their kids, multiple generations. It's a great way to go. Now, if you want to do something similar to the one Caitlin just mentioned, but maybe you don't have 2 weeks, the Danube Holiday Markets visits many of the same destinations, but with a bit of a shorter itinerary. So on this particular one, you'll begin in Budapest, again, with a city tour that includes the Fisherman's Bastion, historic Castle Hill. You end up in Vörösmarty Square, which is home to the city's best Christmas market. And I thought this was pretty interesting. This is an invitation-only market, so only the finest Hungarian craftsmen are invited to participate. So you're sure to find some really unique gifts to take home with you. You'll have a similar great experience in Vienna, like Caitlin described. And later in the cruise, we include a visit by coach to a city that's not on the Danube River, and that's Salzburg in Austria. Salzburg has one of the loveliest old towns in Austria and is a place of pilgrimage for classical music lovers who, of course, come to see the house in which Mozart was born. This cruise ends in the lovely German town of Passau. The medieval old town here has something of an Italian flair, not typical really to the area, so it's kind of interesting. And you'll enjoy one last Christmas market with the stunning St. Stephen's Cathedral as a backdrop. So a little bit of a shorter cruise. It's great for shoppers, but you know what? It's also good for music lovers. There's going to be Christmas carols on board the ship. There's a classical concert in Vienna, a private organ concert at Gottwig Abbey. So a really beautiful way, again, to spend the holidays. So if you'd like to find out about all of our trips, not just these Christmas Market River Cruises, but all of them, we encourage you to call one of our travel experts at the 800 number that currently appears on your screen. You can speak directly to one of our friendly travel experts who will be glad to quote you on the very best price on a cruise, find you the best flights available from your home airport, and really just do everything to help make your vacation completely worry-free. By the way, our full 2016 collection of river cruises is now available, either by calling us, or you can, of course, visit our website at www.getours.com. There's another great reason to visit our website. You can read up on all of our trips, and one of the cool things that we've added recently is our unedited customer reviews. We survey each and every one of our customers when they return from their trip, and we publish every single review. What you want to look for on our website are the gold stars at the upper right-hand side of each tour page. It says FIFO next to it. And when you click those, you can again read unedited reviews from customers just like you who've actually gone on the trip that you're interested in. So we encourage everyone to be a savvy shopper and do their research that way. Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, there is a prize drawing, and it looks like our colleague Liz has chosen a very lucky winner.
And that is Nancy Neal.
Nancy Neal? Okay, congratulations out there in webinar land. I will be in contact later today with an email telling you how you can claim your prize. Once again, that's a $200 travel certificate. So congratulations to Nancy Neal. We now have a few minutes, just a few minutes for questions and answers. And so, Caitlin, do we have any questions that came up?
Sure. Somebody asked, is there a dress code aboard the ship?
I'm glad that came up. That's a good question. Really, there isn't. There, as Caitlin mentioned several times, there are some special captain's dinners, some gala dinners, and certainly people like to dress up for those, but that is by no means mandated. You can wear really whatever you like, even shorts, although maybe you wouldn't feel that comfortable wearing shorts. They're still welcomed in the dining room.
Great. Are shore excursions included?
Yes, maybe I need to be a little clearer on that. So shore excursions, Uniworld includes many, many more shore excursions than would the typical river cruise itinerary. So when you go off on your sightseeing, you might have 2, 3, sometimes even 4 different sightseeing choices, all of which are included. So there might be a walking tour, a gentle walking tour for those that maybe can't travel quite as fast or as far. Sometimes there's even a go active option where you take a bicycle ride or something like that. So all of those are included. Now, here and there along your itinerary, there might be some very specialized things that would be offered as optional extra trips. So for instance, a cooking class or something of that nature, where maybe only a few people would be interested in doing it. But overall, you really do not have to spend any extra money on excursions on a Uniworld River Cruise.
Great. And what is Christmas like aboard one of the ships?
What is Christmas? Oh, like Christmas Day?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Christmas Eve, let me start with that. On my particular cruise, and I can't speak for every single one of them, but on my particular cruise, the entire staff got together, sang Christmas carols, handed out lyric sheets so everyone could get into the spirit. Someone dressed up like Santa Claus and actually walked around to everybody, delivering a special hand-wrapped gift from Uniworld to us. The next morning, on Christmas Day, you have, of course, a lovely breakfast. We did a lecture about European holiday traditions at that time. So there's a few special things that go on, but mostly I think it's a time for people to spend time with their families and just enjoy the scenery. And it's a great way to do it.
Okay, I think that does it.
Okay, well, once again, we thank you so much for joining us at one of our webinars. We hope you enjoyed yourselves, and from all of us at Grand European Travel, I wish you a very happy holidays.